if you knew you were enough? What would your life look like? What would love look like? This is the Enough Factor broadcast, where we're redefining what makes you enough in life and in love. Now here's your host, Suzette Virna. Hello and welcome to the Enough Factor podcast. My name is Suzette Virna, and it is indeed a privilege to bring you content that not only uplifts you, but calls into question anything that does not align with this one undeniable fact. You are enough. In fact, you are more than enough. And here to help reinforce that message is my special guest, Tara Whitney Rison. But before I introduce her, if this is your first time tuning in, thank you. You could be listening to so many other podcasts out there, but you decided to stop by here. What makes our podcast different is it's built on three critical factors. I call them the three critical factors of enoughness. They are your voice, your value, and your vision. By amplifying your voice, your value, and your vision, I believe that you can see more clearly who you are, whose you are, and why you are, thereby experiencing love and life in a bigger, bolder, brand new way. If that resonates with you, then you've come to the right place. Now, let me tell you about a wonderful woman that I was destined to meet and who is joining me today, Tara. Tara Whitney Rison is an independent consultant and wellness advocate who runs an online health and wellness business. Tara is also a professional actress and teaching artist and received a Master of Fine Arts in Acting from the University of North Carolina, Greensboro. Go Spartans, my alma mater, and performs locally and nationally in theater, commercial, voiceovers, and film and television. For 2.5 years, Tara traveled to military bases, touring a show and facilitating discussions on consent, sexual harassment, assault prevention, victim blaming, and upstander intervention. Tara is continuing to build an influential platform with her work in theater, television, and film, as well as expanding her business and promoting holistic wellness. And she is currently based in the Triangle area of North Carolina, and I am absolutely stoked about that. And today she is raising the bar and the conversation about self-care and wellness. Welcome, Tara.
Hello. Oh my gosh. I wish that could be my voicemail, my alarm clock. I need that. I mean, anytime I want meditation, I just want to wake up ready for the day. I need to hear that introduction everywhere I go. That was awesome. Thank you.
I am so glad. Oh my goodness. I am so happy to have you on the podcast and to continue our conversation from like Monday, maybe a couple of days ago.
Yes. It's so awesome to be here. I'm so thankful. Thank you so much.
And we were talking about how it doesn't feel like we're stopping and starting, but just continuing our conversation about health and wellness and self-care, which right now, I think that's where everybody's minds are, because if you're listening, it's during the coronavirus, COVID-19 pandemic, which is a global virus that is ravaging so many places, and people are concerned and they're scared. But one of the things that is for sure, if nothing else, we now realize that we truly are a global society, and that what happens with one can so easily happen to all. So right now, I think it is very timely that we are really talking about health and wellness and self-care. And so I'm so grateful to have you, a health and wellness advocate, here with an online business that promotes that. Yeah. And like I said, that you're nearby, so I can just like, Tara, send me some stuff, girl.
Isn't that weird? Because you are in Raleigh.
I'm in
Durham. I mean, literally 25 minutes away from each other. But I'm talking to you through a video, app. I would never think, never in a million years, but I think that we'd be living in a pandemic. I mean, that's what we're calling it now. It is a pandemic. And what's funny is I feel like anytime I'm holding a conversation, you just can't talk about, you can't talk about anything else. It's like you have to acknowledge where we are. And I think that is the first step to really kind of owning wherever you are. I actually do some coaching for a company that sometimes we're remote, sometimes we're in person. We had a lot of things that were live. I do coaching for, big businesses and companies around empathy, doing a lot of role playing and coaching. And, one of the things we talked about before we started yesterday was, are we acknowledging in any of the role plays where we are? And we were like, well, I guess we have to, right? Because we, and what we do as coaches, we make up the scenarios. There's a small guideline, but we in turn just kind of roll with it. It's improvisation. So there's a tiny bit of instructions, but we make up the improv. So we kind of roll with it. We're like, well, are we acknowledging where we are? So, if there's a situation happening that I'm role playing, like that's going on with my sister, which I actually did yesterday, am I acknowledging that, oh, she's sick and we're also in this pandemic? Because it was actually comforting for some people. I kind of thought it might be triggering, but when we think about wellness, everybody's individual needs are so different. They just don't know. And so it was actually really comforting and really cathartic for some people to be able to just acknowledge what's going on and be able to role play how they respond, not react, but how they respond to different people in different situations, because everyone's situation right now it's vastly different all around the world. And there are just so many different people, so it's really important that when we just show up, we have to acknowledge where the other person is. I might be doing great. I might be bouncing around, smiling, but, to be present with someone, acknowledge where you are. I think that is what, holistic wellness is acknowledging the full, like your whole self. The whole self is someone, and that's spiritual, that's mental, that's not just physical. It means so many different things. It's a lot of different facets of wellness, and emotional wellness right now is a big deal. It's what we're dealing with right now, people's emotional wellness.
It's a big deal because it's interesting. And I love how you said that we have to acknowledge it. I think in the beginning, people heard it, but they didn't really hear it. It was like, whatever. I saw a couple of eye rolls when people mentioned it, like it was being magnified. It was this, okay, this is, y'all are just, it's too much. You're making too much of a big deal out of it. But I think, as you were saying, when it comes to health and wellness, that we do have to soberly deal with it. And I understand there's the difference between reality and truth. But we have to understand this is our current reality. But my truth is, as you said, how I'm going to respond. What resonates, what am I all about? What is my belief system, my values when it comes to my own care, and also being responsible in that so that it doesn't affect somebody else.
Yeah.
I think that's so key.
It is. And I think it's also part of my work is, in being an actor, is being able to show up, being able to be present, because, I think of theater work, acting work as life work. I took a really awesome workshop a while back in California. It was a Shakespeare for Social Justice workshop, specifically for, teaching artists and performers. But, it was really about, how we show up in theater, but also how we use that work in life work. And my teacher was she worked in maximum security prisons. And it was so interesting, her experience and what she was talking to us about, because she was like, you'd be so surprised how all of those inmates relate so closely with Shakespeare's work. Because what is that even about? It's about life, love, romance, death, parents, family, just so many different things, war. And those things it might seem high stakes for us, but I'll tell you one thing, it resonates so deeply with people who are in that. And now it's like, you would look at this situation as something that is high stakes, but now like we're going to come out of this, and that's going to be our new truth. Like that's going to be our lived experience, is living through a pandemic where people all around us, people are dying. People don't know where they're going to get food. People are concerned about their health. People are, concerned about their families that they can't see in the hospitals. There's a lot of fear that's going on. So when we show up and we are present with what's in front of us, that's a new truth that we have in recognizing where everybody is at. And so I that's why, I advocate to invest in our wellness, put our wellness first. Because if you think about it, when we talk about investing in something, material things, shoes, we don't ever say anything is expensive, right? It's only when, this is the thing that's so funny, because when you want to hear people saying like, oh, well, this thing that's organic, it's expensive, or this over here, this supplement over here in this store is expensive. I was like, but think about it. When you're investing in something, we never say that. If I want to get new shoes, anyone resonates with this, I got to get those new shoes. But we'll keep buying the same kind of pair because it's cheaper. But when we want good shoes that we can use, we're going to invest in buying the better thing, the better quality thing, because we know that we need it. Why? Our feet are going to hurt. The shoes are going to tear up eventually. So we never say, oh, it's expensive. We just invest in it, right? We invest in it. So that's what I'm saying about wellness is when we look at it as something that is a priority, we don't say that it's anything else but an investment. And I'm like, that's what we need all the time.
That's what we need. That is what we need, because it's true. I think for so many of us, we have been taught to invest in things that depreciate, to have value for those things that depreciate, but we haven't been taught about investing in ourselves as something that appreciates. They talk about stocks, they talk about mutual funds, they talk about all these other things, houses, they talk about all these things appreciating, but they all are externals. And what I always try to tell people and remind them of is that you are the brilliance behind whatever you do. Whatever you have, you're the brilliance behind it. Because if it weren't for you, you would not have those things. If it weren't for you, you wouldn't have gotten that job. If it wasn't for you, but we neglect the brilliance and treat it like it is something that is just, it just works for me to get this. But that's where the real investing has to take place. We have to learn. I think even in this pandemic or this new normal, it's really calling into question our value of ourselves.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yes, I do. And that's what I'm wondering. Sometimes I just wonder how people value themselves, or how do we consider ourselves worthy enough to invest in ourselves. I wonder, where our priorities. I mean, obviously now they could be shifting. Now they could be shifting a whole lot. But we're very reactive.
We are, and people are really beginning to take note of certain things.
Yes.
One of the things that I feel like speaks to this so well when we were talking about it before is your own journey of wellness. What you've had to confront and carefront, in your own journey. So could you share some of that with the listeners?
Sure. Yes. You're right. It makes so much sense because I think even then, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease about 10 and a half, 11 years ago. I remember I was in undergraduate school and, in my mind, I didn't know what this was or how to handle it. I just knew that what the doctor told me. The doctor told me I had to take these drugs, this medicine, this Bandaid as I call them, because I wanted the symptoms to go away, right? It's an inflammatory condition of the colon. At first, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. They thought it was colitis because mine was my symptoms were strictly limited to my colon, but they found several years later when I got another colonoscopy that I was actually Crohn's disease. Mm-hmm. And so it's a really debilitating inflammatory condition that will make the inside of my colon flare, which creates sores, and sometimes those bleed. And it causes a lot of cramping. I'm not able to hold food down when I'm in a flare. You could be using the restroom, more than 15, 20, some people 30 times a day. As I, kind of went on with it, I took the medicine that they, had prescribed me, but it was also not, it wasn't keeping my symptoms at bay. And I wasn't staying in remission. I was like, there has to be something wrong. There's something wrong here. I'm taking this medicine and my symptoms are actually not going away. So I really just started doing my own research, and that's where the proactive nature, came in, because I was like, I don't want a Band-Aid. I want to heal. And whether or not they told me there's no cure for whatever autoimmune disease, I have several friends with autoimmune diseases. And we're told there's no cure. Mm-hmm. And, lupus, diabetes, osteoporosis, arthritis,
MS,
ulcerative colitis. These are all autoimmune disease, celiac, mm-hmm. but we have the ability to take care of ourselves. And that just means going the extra mile, maybe, and not even, I would say, and being proactive, doing your own research about what are the things that make you feel better. What are the things that are going to be good for the inside of your, make you feel as well as possible. And I'm not saying, it's gone now. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is the drugs that they wanted to give me were actually not helping me in the long run. I was being prescribed prednisone sometimes, which has really long-term effects on the inside of your body. Antibiotics, those things are really harsh. You may need them, but they cause such harsh long-term side effects. So I just was like, Tara, what are you going to do? What do you want to do about this? Because I'm an actor, I travel, I run an online health and wellness business. I believe in holistic care. I'm a wellness advocate. I was like, I want to share that with other people. So what do I have to do? And so I did a lot of research. I'm not on that medicine anymore. Any of the medicine anymore. I haven't been for several years. I use things like essential oils. I take greens. Probiotics are really important because they put good bacteria into your gut. So probiotics are really important. I started making my own bone broth. I love bone broth now. I make it in the crock pot, and I am Chef T.
Go, Chef T.
That's what I am.
But hold on. When you said you're not on the prescription medications that you were on before and haven't been for how many years?
Let's see. That was in 2017. Yeah, early 2017. So a little over 3 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what would you say were the top 3 things that you did that really were game changers for you? In that you didn't have to rely on the prescription as long. And of course, we're not medical professionals, so nobody's trying to tell you to throw away your prescription, but there is credibility and legitimacy to other forms of self-care and wellness and health practices that can lead to a greater prognosis or a greater experience of life and health and wellness, right?
Probiotics, just having a good bacteria, because our immune system, because when we're talking about autoimmune, that means that our immune system is affected, and it means when it gets stimulated, it's reactive. And it's reactive against everything, things that are good and bad. So that means we need to fuel ourselves with good bacteria, and then also keep producing that good bacteria. So probiotics was a really big thing, because I was getting flares like back to back. So I also had to look at what were some of my triggers, and everybody's different. So caffeine was a trigger. I was never a coffee drinker anyway. I didn't drink caffeine. I'm never really a soda drinker. But honestly, like sodas and things, they don't actually bother me anymore. And I never had a really bad experience or anything with sodas. It was really caffeine. And I don't know if it's because it's more concentrated. I think I told you before, maybe it was to someone else, red sauces. So eliminating those things that I knew were triggers, so my body could just sort of calm. Stress is a huge trigger, which I didn't know. And my body seems to get physically stressed first, before anything else. It's like my body can feel it. And when you just have a sensitive immune system, it makes sense that would happen. Essential oils was a really big thing. Essential oils, frankincense is an anti-inflammatory. Anything that was anti-inflammatory, I would be eating those foods and I would take that. So, good bacteria, like just having probiotic, like taking a really good probiotic, and anti-inflammatory foods. I was making celery juice. That actually came a little bit later. Celery juice. I have a juicer. I have all the things. All the things now. Make celery juice. But the things that would actually get me out of a flare, if I was in a flare, weirdly, was salmon and bone broth. Grass-fed beef. Even though I don't really eat beef, those were the two things. I mean, I could probably only have those things to get out of a flare. Bone broth and salmon. I think because of all the omega-3s in salmon.
In that. We were talking before too, and I'm reminded of it that I know we were talking about the importance of your gut, that your gut is where everything that's the building block or the foundation of everything. And I remember we were talking, and I'm reminded of it again, that when doctors were putting me on Zantac and prescription grade types of blockers and stuff and protonics and all this kind of stuff, trying to deal with my gut issues. I was prescribed with GERD and acid reflux and gastritis and all these different things, and I was just taking one drug, and then that wouldn't work as well, and they'd have to give me a different drug, and then that worked for a little while, and then it stopped working as well. And I never forget, I was looking in my bookshelf, and I had bought a book some months or maybe years prior called Healing by Design, and it was by a chiropractor. And I just happened to be reading about GERD because I was trying to figure out, these prescriptions aren't working for me. You're trying to look for any and everything.
Right.
And I happened to open the book, and it said, if you want to figure out what's going on, stop eating sugar for about a week. No sugars, and drink water, and not just regular water, but drink purified water. And it was reverse osmosis and hydro 7 filtration or something like that. And so I started going to the grocery store, and at that time, I think Dasani and Aquafina were the gold stars. And so I got Aquafina, I started drinking that, and I did it for a whole week. No sugar, I looked at the backs of everything. If it had sugar in it, I just stopped. I stopped cakes, cookies, everything.
Yeah.
And almost immediately, I'm telling you, it was so bad that I felt like I was darned if I ate and darned if I didn't eat.
Oh, gosh,
Either way, my stomach was going. I was going to call what my son called the bubble guts. where I was going to go to the bathroom calling on Jesus the whole time. Just, Lord, if you just kind of let me have some success.
I know that lie.
Can I have some success, please? Whatever way it comes, please. But I started drinking that water. And to this day, that's the only water I will drink is purified water. And my gut knows the difference. I cannot drink spring water. I cannot drink distilled water. I cannot purify water. It doesn't have to be Aquafina anymore or Design. It can be the store brand, but it has to be the purified water, reverse osmosis. I look for that on the back of it. And for that, it just levels me out. Even if I have a little bit of a stomach issue, usually I drink that, it levels me out. And I think it's got some kind of bicarbonate or something in the water. I'm not sure. But it goes to what you're saying. Sometimes some of the things that we get prescriptions for, it masks the symptoms, but there usually is some type of nutritional remedy, some kind of nutritional tweak we can make that means we don't have to be on that prescription. And for me, I haven't had to be on Zantac, Nexium, any of these since I have been drinking the water. Now, I still have acid reflux from time to time, but usually it's related to food.
Yeah, right.
Usually related to food.
You treat it good. That's the thing is your gut will tell you about yourself. It really will. When people, anytime someone says, they tell me that they have digestive problems or they have like bloating or they're tired all the time, there's like a lack of energy or they just feel irregular, just all of those things they're just all tied to our gut. Our immune system is in our gut. It's inside our gut, and our 90% of our serotonin is also in our gut. So that means there's a huge gut health that's tied to our mind, that's tied to our emotions, how we feel. So chances are, it has to do with that. So reducing toxins, eliminating inflammation, those aren't just like fancy like words, like fancy phrases, for people just to, get something, or go spend money on something. It is talking about like your livelihood, like how you feel every single day when you wake up. If you're like eating food and immediately like you're not feeling well, or you feel like super full, which was one of the symptoms of Crohn's, is that you feel full a lot because your body is it's bloating, especially in your lower belly. And so probiotics are the things that help me with that. And I don't like to feel unwell. I don't want to get by anymore. I'm not in a place where you just try to make it through the day. I want to feel good. I want my body to feel good. That affects my mood and how my relationships. I want to feel well. And that's why I use the word holistic wellness all the time, because physical, emotional, spiritual, mental, they're all tied to one another. When we feel good, when we feel physically well, what do? We're happier. We're smiling. You're interacting with people. You want to go places. You sleep better. You're not cranky. It's all tied together. And so that's why, there's such an emphasis on being proactive and understanding like a holistic lifestyle. It has nothing to do with just losing weight. But, there's a lot of stigma in the media, because when people hear this word about wellness and health, it always seems to be tied to people losing weight or any of that, which I think that's part of it, because, if you're reducing inflammation and getting toxins out of your body, chances are you probably might shed some pounds. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? If there's stuff sitting in your belly, sitting in your body that needs to get out, that's actually making it feel bad, chances are you probably will maybe lose some weight, but that shouldn't be the goal. Like, if it is for some people, that's great, but it should always be about fueling your body with good things. And that doesn't always mean when people talk about diet, I don't like to use that word really. I just talk about a wellness, right? Wellness is an overall feeling, right? How we feel overall. And it really doesn't mean taking things away. Sometimes it's just making room for more of the good to make yourself feel good. And I say that a lot to like friends and family, because when we think about that, we think about restriction. We can't have this, we can't have that. If we're eating better and, we're living a healthier life, so we're taking all the pizza away. And I was like, you can still have your glass of wine. I love wine.
Just don't drink the whole bottle in one sitting.
Right. You don't drink the whole bottle. You know what I mean? You don't drink the whole bottle, but drink your wine. Drink your wine. Drink it.
It's about things in moderation, because I have a tendency sometimes to go to different extremes. It's like if I'm into smoothies, every morning it's a smoothie. Every morning it's a smoothie. Or if I'm into, somebody says, you can't have white bread, whole grain this, whole grain that, whole grain this. Right. And I have found out, however, by going to a, right?
Whole grain this.
Everything is whole grain, everything. Or everything is gluten-free, everything. And I found myself falling in that trap until I started going to a naturopathic doctor. And she was saying, Suzette, the issue is you are given to extremes. You can eat just about anything if you do it in moderation.
Right.
If you kind of don't eat a bagel every single day, that same thing. It's like you have to mix it up a bit. So there are times when I'll have a good, like you said, an Angus grass-fed hamburger, but I don't have that all week long.
Right.
So it's like you have to kind of diversify. You have to diversify your portfolio, investors. Diversify your food portfolio.
Resume. Diversify. Put lots of cruciferous vegetables, greens in there. Instead of having fries with the burger, if you're going to have a burger, maybe have a salad with it, or have some leafy green vegetables. Or, if you're going to have salmon, then, maybe you can have some mashed potatoes, because you have a really great omega rich, food or something like that. And it's like, it's creating that balance. But if you're going to eat processed food and then sugars and then, heavy meats or red meats, it's like nothing is bad. We've been really fed a lot of messages about what's good and what's bad, and that's all, right? It is a spectrum. Food, living, wellness, it's all a spectrum, and you just have to find your balance so that when you wake up in the morning and you go about your life, every single day, that you feel good, that you're feeling good. But if you're just getting by, that means, well, maybe we need to reassess. Maybe we need to look at, what am I doing in the day? How am I moving my body? How am I not moving my body? What does my body need? Because no matter about anything else that goes on, if we're not taking care of this, we won't really see these futures that we dream of and imagine and visualize. I want this to be with me all the way, and I need it working for me.
I need it working for me. I need it working for me too, Tara. And I tell you what, I think we're at a time now where the current climate is giving us permission. Some people say that they need permission. Mm-hmm. I think the current climate is giving us permission to put our self-care first. I mean, people's lives are slowing down. It's funny. Last night was kind of a difficult day. I was listening to some different things on the news, and there was this family where the father died from coronavirus, and the kids could not even see him, could not even be there with them. The family could not even be there with them, and that just it broke my heart. And my husband and I were about to go to sleep, and I was just looking up, and it's like he was just looking up. And I decided, you know what, let's just play some music. And we turned on found a little station, a little YouTube station on my cell phone and laid it on the pillow and just played some smooth jazz and went to sleep. And it was amazing that when I woke up this morning, I felt more spiritually connected. I did not expect it to happen, but I felt more connected with some part of myself that the music was able to access without words, that I didn't even know needed to be accessed. And I woke up this morning feeling more in touch with me. And so I truly believe that we have an opportunity with where things are, instead of railing against it and instead of trying to act like it's not what it is, to really access some parts of ourselves that maybe we had not accessed. There's some people that it's like, when is the last time that you really sat and listened to music, or really sat and had a conversation with your child? When is the last time that husband and wives that you had a conversation about something other than giving direction? Right. We need this, we don't need that, do this, don't do that. We're really having to slow down.
We are.
And take stock of our lives. I was looking on the news in Italy. I think what really sparked me to turn the music on was how people in buildings where they could not come in physical contact had their windows open, and they were singing together out their window.
Really?
Yes. And there was one where somebody was showing a movie on the apartment building across the street. And there was a part of it where in the movie, the couple was dancing, and you could see people with their windows open dancing.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh my God, I wonder when was the last time they accessed that part of themselves.
Yeah.
Being so busy, getting things done, so busy in life that we have neglected parts of our humanity, parts of our soul that we didn't even know that we're having to really get back in contact with, really connect with.
And I think part of, at least when I think about it, and I think about how much I've been talking about fear a lot this week. And I think that actually that concept that you just said, I think that is actually scary for some people, because it means that they have to look inward and maybe see things that they don't like or that they want to change. And we don't always do that. We're moving so fast and going. We don't have to deal with that. And we can put it on the back burner, we can procrastinate. But when you're at home and you just have time, you can't say, well, I don't have time anymore. Well, I have to be somewhere. Well, no, we have time and we can't go anywhere. So there's nowhere we have to be but with ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think that's scary for some people to have to reconcile whatever they were putting off before. And now they're having to face it. And what's interesting for me is I've taken this time to really take a deeper look at how I want to inspire people, where I want to go, and what the dreams and the visions that I have. It's why I created an online business. It's why I started a health and wellness business. It's because I wanted more time. And now I have a plethora of time. It's all mine. Grab it. It's all around me. I just got it. I got it. And I'm like, I can maybe even give some away. Do you want more time? But it's like, I have it. It's here. It's in our reach. It's the thing that people are usually complaining about. And it's right here in front of us. It's right here next to us. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think for other people that's scary, but in my mind, although there are times where you get nervous about what you're supposed to do, what you're supposed to create, I get to share opportunity, and I get to map out more of my dreams and goals and really take a deeper look at, what's next. And that's exciting. And I just love it. It's been really productive. At times, I'm not saying like everything has just been A-okay, But, it actually, my husband was laid off yesterday. We found that out, but we kind of took a moment to stand still and we said, well, what's next? What's next for us? And
breathing into the next, breathing into it. What's the next?
Yeah. Yes. And it's right there.
It's right
there.
And
that's what wellness is. It's right there. And when things are hurting you physically or spirit, you can't ignore those things anymore. They're right there in front of you. And you have to be able to say to yourself, or just take a moment to face whatever that fear is, acknowledge that it's there and figure out how you combat that. What does that mean? And I was talking about that the other day, is combating fear. Because it starts here, right? They're just thoughts that are in our mind, that fear. But when they drop down to here, that means they've affected you. That means you have to respond. It's become from just floating things to now it's dropped down. And that might manifest differently for some people. It might physically incapacitate somebody. It might make you really sad. It might make you not want to go out. So you see, that's exactly why wellness is our whole being, because it affects us wholly. So when that drops down and it manifests however it does, what do we do to combat that? Maybe it's like you got to throw your hands up. And you have to pray right then and there. I feel like for me, that's what I do. I'm like, when I feel it and I can feel it dropping down and I can feel it sort of taking over how I function and how I show up in my presence, it just might be like, for me, praying. It might be calling it out, stating it out loud. I'm feeling this fear creep up. I'm feeling this fear of procrastination. I'm feeling my fear of commitment. And so I was like, it's like, you got to talk yourself. Yep. It's here, it's happening, don't let those thoughts drop down. They're here. I acknowledge it, and just sort of putting it out there, right? And not letting it incapacitate us, because it has the ability to, but we also have so much power.
We do.
We have so much power.
So much power.
And it's just about how we access it.
So Tara, I know our listeners are going to want to connect with you. So tell us, how can we connect with you, and then what you want our final takeaway to be?
Well, you can connect with me through Facebook, Instagram, email. Everything is my full name, Tara Whitney Rison. Email is the same, tarawhitneyrison@gmail.com. Please follow me. I do a lot of posting, a lot of interaction with people. It's just, how I want to be in the world is really in communication with other people. I've created a holistic wellness space group within Facebook. So if people are interested in finding me and becoming part of that space, and they want to hear more about my online health and wellness business, they want to just come and be empowered, learn about wellness products, please, find me, join that space. And I think what I hope people will take away is we have many things that are in our reach, and it just requires us to make a full investment of our wellness, our spiritual wellness, our mental and emotional, our physical wellness, our psychological wellness. And if you make an investment in your wellness, it opens up so much possibility and so many doors into your future and how you want to live your life and show up every day. So I just ask people to invest in it wholeheartedly and inspire other people too as well.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
You have just listened to the Enough Factor podcast with your host, Suzette Vernon. To get notified of new episodes or to dig deeper into today's topic, become a subscriber. And while you're at it, tell us how we're doing and what topics you're interested in. We appreciate your feedback and your reviews. Until next time, remember, you are worthy, you are worth it, you are enough.